Hello, YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122, and I want to welcome you all to a new segment of the sports section of my channel. This will be known as the podcast for high school sports all across Western North Carolina. I'm only going to be talking about the high school teams from all across Western North Carolina, excluding the Boone region. I'm only talking about high school football teams that are as far west as Robbinsville, as far south as Rosman, I believe, as far north as Avery County, and as far east as Thomas Jefferson Classical Academy. So today we're going to be talking about the top 5 biggest disappointments of the 2021 spring football season. Now, basically what this means, I'm only talking about individual football teams that either regressed mightily or just were horrible this year compared to the 2019 season. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5, they're a team from Bryson City, North Carolina. They compete in the Smoky Mountain 1A conference. They're none other than the Swain County Maroon Devils. Now, I put Swain County here in number 5 is because I don't think they faltered this season as much as the other teams did this season as on the rest of the list. But Swain County only won 2 conference games against Cherokee and against Rosman, even though they should have won at least 3 or 4. Now, the biggest reason why I put them here is mainly because they lost to Andrews and Hayesville, especially the Hayesville loss, which happened yesterday. 41-26, the Yellow Jackets won. But Swain County really should have won that game, and they should have won the game against Andrews, where they lost 36-14 to the Wildcats. They should not have lost both of those games. Now, yes, big losses to Murphy and Robbinsville are understandable in this type of vicinity, but come on, man. How do you lose to Andrews and Hayesville, 2 teams that you absolutely smoked a season earlier? I guess football teams just find ways to rebound, I guess. But this, as we all know, football is very weird, and of course it's unpredictable, but Swain really should have won both of those games, and because of that, Swain County is not in the playoffs this season, so good job, Maroon Devils. Not. Alright. Number 4 is a team from Bostic, North Carolina, which is northeast of Forest City and east of Rutherford and southeast-ish of Rutherfordton. We are talking about the East Rutherford Cavaliers. Yes. Even though in 2019 they went 1-10, but they were much more competitive in 2019 compared to this god-awful winless team. I mean, where do I even begin? They lost the first game to RS Central 47-0. I mean, getting shut out is no fun, let me tell you that. But my goodness. RS Central was one of the biggest surprise teams of the season, so there's that. But East Rutherford unraveled big time. And like with Swain, East Rutherford's usually a dangerous playoff contender. But not this year. They were absolutely horrible this season. Now, I've watched a lot of highlights and stuff like that that can actually help me with this type of stuff. So, there you go. Now, coming in at number 3, we probably have one of the most overrated teams from 2019. We're talking about the West Henderson Falcons. Now, yes, what a Cinderella story it was. You all started off 8-0, and then you lost 3 of your final 4 games. First one was against Tuscola, which really should not have happened. The second one was against AC Reynolds, which we all saw coming. Then you beat Asheville in the season finale, and then you get smoked in the playoffs in the first round on your home field to one of the best 3A teams in the mountains, which is Kings Mountain. Yeah, and then this season, they only won 1 game, so really the 2019 season, I guess, was just a fluke. And that's why I think they're one of the most disappointing teams this season because, if they wanted everyone to know that they were for real, then they would have rebounded their 2019 season with a good season. But no, but apparently not. Given the fact that West Henderson only won one game and it was against Enka, who's one of the biggest bottom feeders in 3A. That's all I can say, really. But yeah, West Henderson unraveled badly this season, and that's why I think that they are an overrated football team. I really don't think that I don't really think that they deserved the 9 wins from 2019, given the fact of how badly they unraveled this season. So sorry, you West Henderson fans, but they're. What a disappointing season, am I right? Now we move on to number 2. We're talking about the East Henderson Eagles, staying in Henderson County. Now, yes, in 2019, the Eagles weren't really that much better. They were 1-10. They only won one game as against North Henderson, but they lost to North Henderson this season, so there you go. Honestly, what kind of effort was that this season? You only scored 14 points the entire season, and you get shut out in your final 6 games. All final 6 games. What kind of a season is that, am I right? At least in 2019, y'all scored a lot more points. So, that's something. And that's basically why I put East Henderson here at number 2, is because, yes, in 2019 they were bad, but this season they were horrible. Like, gosh, awful. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. They were so bad. They were so bad. Now, yes, with that all being said, East Henderson comes in here at number 2. Now we're going to go into some dishonorable mentions. I got the Smoky Mountain Mustangs and Brevard Blue Devils. My Brevard Blue Devils. Yeah. Smoky Mountain went from 8 wins in 2019 to 2 wins here in the spring season of 2021. And, yeah, I know both of their wins, and both of their wins came against Madison and East Henderson, which are 2 of the worst teams in 2A. So, with that all being said, I can't really say much about Smoky Mountain. They had the Mountain Six's best player in Dustin Stevens, and they still couldn't get it done. I mean, the defense didn't reach its 2018 and 2019 form, and Dustin Stevens regressed mightily. I mean, mightily. Or at least, no, not mightily. He just basically regressed compared to his very good 2018 and 2019 campaigns. So with that all being said, Smoky Mountain is there. And then Brevard, I mainly put them in the dishonorable mentions, mainly because of how badly they unraveled in the final 2 weeks of high school football, causing them to miss the playoffs. Now, unlike all the other teams on this list, Brevard finished the season with a winning record, at 4-3. But they missed they are not going to the playoffs, thanks to some young, inexperienced work, especially on offense. And the defense, even though they start off strong, only allowing 64 points coming into the game against Hendersonville, they allowed 73 points in the final 2 weeks, 35 to Hendersonville and 38 to Pisgah, which in my mind is just completely unexcusable. And I'm sure a lot of fellow Brevard fans would definitely agree. And now we got 2 more dishonorable mentions. We got the Owen Warhorses. Yeah, they were and the only reason why they're not on this list is because, this was basically around the same vicinity as last season, but they started off 2-0, they were looking really good, and then they just completely unraveled. So, sorry, Warhorses. And lastly, we have the Hayesville Yellow Jackets and the Avery County Vikings. Now, both of them are disappointments in general, perennial, every year. Same thing with Rosman. And so, yeah, I've got quite a lot of teams here in my dishonorable mentions, but I'll list all of them in the description below, so you can check them out if you don't want to hear about this. Now moving on to number 1, the biggest disappointment in the spring season, and we're talking about Madison, the Madison Patriots. Now, yes, the only reason why they're number one, back-to-back winless seasons. And they've lost a whopping 18 games in a row in 2 years. That is bad. That is really bad. And Madison was not nearly as competitive as they were last season, if you can even say that they were competitive last season. They weren't. I mean, Kyle Hutchinson was not a great coach, and I don't even know who their new head coach is. But apparently they're going to have to try and figure out some other coaching formulas for their players, because they're really gonna try and hope for the best that their new members from the JV team and maybe even from transfer schools, I don't know, will help them rebound in a nice way. So with that all being said, Madison takes number one. No surprise here. I personally think that they were a huge disappointment this season. But what other high school football teams across Western North Carolina do you think were big disappointments this season compared to the 2019 season? Please let me know down in the comments section below if you so greatly desire to do so, and please leave me your top 5 biggest disappointments of this season. As always, thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is Water Eye 122 signing off, ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.